Right, there we go. Perfect.
Okay, when we shared the screen, did it come up?
Yeah, it did. It did. We're good.
And so how do I do that again? Just
share screen.
Share screen. Okay.
So library's still shut down, so we're doing this online. If there's any technical difficulties, please bear with us as we get our P's and Q's in a row here. Our next presentation will be Richard Foss on November 21st, and he's going to be talking about the strangest cooking methods in the world, and that's another free presentation. But today I'd like to welcome all of you and to our presentation with author Alicia Maher, who's going to be talking about the history and types of Salvadoran food from El Salvador and the areas around there. Alicia Maher is a bilingual author and publisher of Delicious El Salvador, the 2014 Gourmand Winner's Best Cookbook in the World and Best First Cookbook in the last 25 years. This is her, this and her Spanish translation fill a cultural void for the Salvadoran community in the United States, which is the second largest Hispanic group in the country. Raised in El Salvador, she has made Los Angeles her home since 1986, but I think you're broadcasting from the desert right now, right? Yes. Alicia holds a UCLA bachelor's degree in art history and teaches cooking classes both online and at the Surface Culinary District. Alicia is currently writing her second cookbook. So without further ado, may I present Alicia Maher. Welcome.
Thank you, Martin, and thank you so much to the Culinary Historians of San Diego for the invitation. I'm still having a little bit trouble. I'm not very, good at Zoom yet. So I only see myself in the little corner here. I guess not supposed to be like that, no?
Yes, you're full screen for us.
Yeah. Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just what you're seeing. So that's okay. That's normal.
Well, I'm very excited to talk about Salvadorian food, but hold on a second. We're live here.
Yes. So you hit full screen, just hit the screen.
Screen? Okay.
Yeah, hit it.
There you go.
Just exit out right now, exit out. And then when you when you want to share a screen, you hit that, click on a picture. Then when you're done with the picture, click it off, right back like that.
Okay, can you turn off the slide actually?
It's sure good to have an IT professional with you.
Oh my goodness, between my husband and my sons, God bless them. Remember we did the test last week and my wonderful middle son helped me.
Yes.
He's working from home. He works for the Legal Aid Foundation. He's a young attorney, so very proud, to, I feel it's too dark now.
So tell me, how did you decide that you wanted to do a cookbook on food from El Salvador?
I did. Well, number one, I come from a family of cooks, from women that can cook. My mother was a chef at a hotel in San Salvador. My aunts own restaurants and comedores. That's the places where people go to eat. It's not a fancy place, but that's where you really showcase home style cooking. And so it was natural for me to want to do something for the next generations. And I have 3 sons who are born here. And like many Salvadorians, I came here by myself to Los Angeles to go to UCLA. In my case, was to go to UCLA. Very proud. I graduated in 1992. Go Bruins. But I came without mom or without the abuela, without the grandmother, without the extended family. And I always had carried a passion for cooking in general, Salvadorian cooking, but especially Salvadorian cooking. And then my sons, the oldest one is 32 and the youngest one is 28, and they're all fabulous cooks. They all know how to make pupusas. I trained them well. So they kept asking me for recipes, for Salvadorian recipes. On top of that, there is an infamous, is that how you say, infamous video, a pupusa video on a very, very huge website You guys can look it up. I don't even want to say the name of the website, but it's been there since 2009. And that was that day when I saw that video, I said, I got to do something because they are making a pupusa, and the pupusa is El Salvador's national dish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the recipes in my cookbook. And you never fry a pupusa, you never boil a pupusa, you never do any of those things. All you need is just a simple comal, which is the Nahuatl word for I'm sorry, don't make any noise right now. Thank you. Which is made of ceramic, but I'll start showing you the photos. So when I saw the video, and it's really nothing like a pupusa, I got so indignated. I was so mad, and I said, somebody needs to do something. Somebody needs to, set the record straight. And this is not good either for the next generations, because, thank God that my children have me at home to bring in, the food first-hand knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But other people don't, because most people we don't make pupusas at home. Pupusas is the street food.
So they would think that video was the proper way to make it. And
is not right. Nothing to do like that. And so that was one of the reasons. So I also did it out of dignity. For my ancestors, for my country, and I'm very happy because I never expected it. That it was here is the page on the pupusas, and I'm very happy because, like you said, it has filled and this is the edition in Spanish. It has filled the cultural void for the community. In the United States and in the world too. But I want to show you, I want to start with some slides here.
All right.
Can you see this slide?
You can describe what we're seeing and go through them. Definitely.
Okay. Let me see. Can you see this?
Not yet.
Okay, let me share the screen then.
Share the screen.
There we go.
Not okay. Here we
now
are.
You see it.
Yes, now we can see it. There we go.
Okay, so, well, number one, this is the map of El Salvador.
Mm-hmm.
And El Salvador, it's south of Mexico in the little strip of land called Central America. We have 5 countries in Central America. So to the north, we have Guatemala, and on this part here is Honduras. That's to the west, east-west. And here to the south, we have Nicaragua, and this is the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful country. It has about 5-6 million people, and it's about the size of Connecticut. So it's one of the smallest country in Latin America, and if not the world. And we've been cooking like this for thousands of years, just using wood, and just beautiful ways to cook with real wood, charcoal. And our main staples in El Salvador are actually tortillas and beans, and specifically red beans. And as you can see here in the background, here is a comal made of ceramic, which is the traditional way. But nowadays, people also use metal comales. Mm-hmm. And then here we have the beans. Look at how gorgeous they are. Mm-hmm. And this is another stove, another typical stove. I took this photo about, when did I take it? 2017. I went to the countryside, and this is how people still cook at home. We use a lot of ceramics still to cook, but nowadays you also use a lot of metal. And this is the gourmand that I won in China for Delicious El Salvador. Very proud to showcase and to celebrate our Salvadorian food. And I just wanted to put put my family too. And so this is my family. This is my husband, Joe. This is the oldest son, the middle son, and the youngest son. He's actually working as a prep chef now.
Nice.
Very proud of all my boys. And I wanted to show you too, El Salvador has some of the most beautiful birds in the world, and torogos is El Salvador's national bird. And it's actually part of my new merchandise line. And this is my hometown. I was born in Santa Ana, and Santa Ana borders with Guatemala. And this is our church, Catedral de Santa Ana is called, and our patroness of Santa Ana is Saint Anne, and Saint Anne she was the mother of Mary. So it's a very Catholic country, and this church was built in the Gothic tradition. Was built about 100 years ago, but in the 1920s. And here I am in my hometown. And again, this is how you find street food. Someone that has a little business, and they're selling pupusas, yuca frita, stuff that you normally don't make at home. And that's why I wanted, with my cookbook, I wanted to emphasize also home cooking beyond the street food. And this is the little park. Sorry, Martin.
Yuca frita, the fried yucca.
Fried yucca, yeah, we're gonna get to that photo.
Okay. And
this is the little park where I grew up. I used to play basketball. I was always the short one, and all of my friends were tall, but I didn't care. I was, bouncing the ball, having a good time, and eating, tamales on the weekends, because in those days you didn't eat tamales every day. Tamales were a weekend treat. Mm-hmm. And this is just a little street in a town called Quesaltepeque, just outside San Salvador. This is where my friends live. And if you ever go to El Salvador and have a chance to go to the Mercado, the Quesaltepeque Mercado, you have to go. They have the best food, the best quesadilla, the best tamales. It's just amazing. And this is a photo. Before I get to the food, I wanted to show you photos of the people and the country. And I took this photo in 2015 in La Union, which is on the other side of the country, opposite. I'm from Santa Ana. La Union is on the other side. And these are young chefs. Every year, this cooking academy, they have a festival, a seafood festival, and then the young chefs are supposed to innovate and do something, and it's a wonderful competition. And I just think that it just moves me when I see photos like this, because these are our young adults. This is the future of El Salvador. And here I'm talking to them, and it was such a wonderful experience. And this is my friend. I'm here in front of my hotel in San Salvador. And this is my wonderful friend, Chris Melendez. She's a Salvadorian actress, award-winning actress. And in here I am with my other friends. It was a party at the Mexican embassy. And she works for, she used to work in those days, she used to be an editor for a food magazine called Buen Provecho, which means Bon Appetit in Spanish. And she's right now running for mayor of her hometown. She's 32 years old. So it's just, it's just very exciting. And she's very passionate too about culture. And one of the things she wants to do in her hometown is start cooking classes. So whenever I go to El Salvador, I also go to my favorite museum, the Museum of Modern Art in San Salvador. You guys gotta go there. It's such a beautiful place. And whenever I can, I also stay at my favorite hotel. It's called El Presidente. It's a Sheraton hotel, and it's been there forever. Oh my God, ever since I can remember. And this is the little grotto, the grotto. You're sitting there and you just, have your little drink and cerveza and, little shrimp cocktail. It's a wonderful place. Or if I'm not in the hotel, I go to the lake, my favorite lake, which is Lake Coatepeque. And it's also in the same area where I was born. Or I head to the beach. And if you guys ever go to El Salvador, you guys gotta visit the beaches in El Salvador are beautiful, and the seafood, the lobsters, oh my goodness. Or I head to El Tazumal. And El Tazumal was was built around 1400 years ago, and it was a huge commercial center. And Tazumal actually is in a city called Chalchuapa. And Chalchuapa is one of those few cities in the world that has been in existence for 3,000 years or more, since, you know, without stopping, always inhabited. When I grew up in El Salvador, my girlfriends and I and my cousins, we all used to go and play here, but it was covered. So the last 10, 20 years, there has been an extensive archaeological effort, you know, in El Salvador to showcase, you know, our palaces, because really they are like, you know, palaces and castles of the Pipiles. And in here is, I think it was 2015 or 2017, I went to visit Joya de Seren. And Joya de Seren has been declared by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. And Joya de Seren is being compared to Pompeii in Italy. It was a huge volcano explosion. The people had time to get out, but it was right after dinner. So they left everything, the food, the dishes, everything. And so it's wonderful for archaeologists because it's a live site. People can actually see what people were eating and what they were wearing. And one of the things they found yucca. We were talking about the yuca frita, the fried yucca. They found cacao, which is chocolate. They found corn, of course, green beans, and they also found a duck tied down to a tree. We have domestic, but I think about 2,000 years ago, we already had domesticated ducks and chumpes, we call them, the turkeys. Chickens were brought over by the Spaniards. So it's just a wonderful place to visit. And this is one of the vessels that they found at the site. This is the museum just outside the site. And they used to make chicha. Our ancestors used to make this wonderful, and still being made, this wonderful drink made of corn. And I think it has a pretty high alcohol level. I don't know if it's 40%, 20%, but it's up there. I think it's between, you know, a good malt liquor and a good wine, something like that, between 20% alcohol. So it gets you happy and dancing. and here I am inside the Temescal at the same place at Joya de Seren. And temescales were used by the doctors, the shamans, and not just the doctors, but for everyone who would go in there and sweat. It was a sweat bath, basically. And I think I was telling you, here is the outside of the temescal. This is a replica of the temescal, but what makes it even more interesting is that the roof of the temescal is a dome. And there is no other place in Latin America, according to what I've been told by archaeologists in El Salvador, there is no other place in the world that in Latin America with a dome roof. So that kind of, you know, makes it even more interesting. And religion and food go, you know, hand in hand in El Salvador. And this is the oldest church in El Salvador. It was built in 1697. Some people say it's even, but the date is outside. I've been challenged by some people on Instagram telling me, no, it's older than that, but the date is outside. And what I read, it was 1697. It's really a beautiful church. And this is in La Union again. And here I am in Huayua. This is another town. You know, again, religion is very important. One of the nice things about El Salvador too are the fountains. Every little town or every big city that has a park has a fountain. And I think that's from the Europeans. And when I go to El Salvador, you know, they also invite me to the cooking shows. So in here, I made Leche Poriala live. And the host and the hostess, they were very surprised because, again, Leche Poriada, here is I don't know if you can see, Oh, I did.
Well, a little bit, but you're.
I'll show you when I get out of the full screen. And when I'm not eating pupusas, I love the pupusas from the Sheraton. I go to the local mercado and I order one of my favorite dish. It's called flor de isote and actually grows in Southern California. I have a plant like this in my house. And thus here I am at the local mercado. And here is when I got the award in China for Delicious El Salvador. But one of the things too that made me think about what was the king of Salvadorian vegetables. And it was my friend Faye Levy. I think I told you about her. She's a cookbook author and chef. Mm-hmm. She's written 23 cookbooks in Hebrew, English, and French. I really recommend her books, but she got me thinking about what was the king of vegetables in El Salvador. And I came to the conclusion that it's the tomato. It's not the best photo, but you know, you guys get the idea. So it's the tomato, and yeah, because it's native to, you know, to Central America and Mexico too. And this is the flor de isote. This is the yucca flower that I was showing you before. Mm-hmm. This one.
Yes.
And this is the one that, so we cook it with eggs like this, scrambled with eggs, green bell pepper, if you have a little bit of green bell pepper, but the main ingredients are the eggs, tomato, and onions. And then you scramble it up and you get rid of the pistils, the little thingies here, because they're bitter. Those are the things that is important to remember. And this little thingies here, otherwise you know, the food will be bitter. And one of the beautiful things about the mercados too in El Salvador is the produce. Oh my goodness. And mangoes is one of them. And the mango season, it's wonderful because we get to eat the green mangoes, which in the United States, you don't see green mangoes. And they're really delicious. And we eat them with a powder made with pumpkin seeds. We call it alguaste. That's the Nahuatl word for the ground pumpkin seeds. And so we sprinkle the pumpkin seeds and salt and a little bit of hot sauce, and you're ready to go. And this is another another fruit native to El Salvador. They're called Hocotes, and they remind me of cherry. They got the beautiful pit inside. And I don't know if you can see this photo. This is some chicken and some rellenos. But this is when you go to the mercados, this is what people are cooking, you know, nice and fresh and right there on the spot. And these are the main things that you will see in a typical Salvadorian recipe. Chayotes, which in El Salvador are called huisquil, and the green bell pepper, onion, celery, green beans, and carrots. And here is when you see the fusion of the two cultures, the Spanish and the Salvadorian, because carrots are from Asia. They were brought over by the Europeans. Celery, carrots, onions, garlic, they were all brought over by the Spaniards or the Europeans in general. But we gave them the green bell peppers, green beans, and the huisquil. So this is when you start seeing, you know, new dishes develop, which I think is wonderful. And we use a lot of squash, and this is one of the squash that we either use it as a dessert. We cook it in a very heavy raw sugar syrup, or we also cook it for pupusas, and they're called pupusas de ayote. Ayote again is another Nahuatl word, and this is typically what you will see in El Salvador when you go to a mercado. These are the different type of grains. And this is how the sugar, the raw sugar comes, and it's called atado. In El Salvador, we call it atado because the Spanish word for to tie down something is atar, A-T-A-R. And we call it atado because we use we tie down the panela inside the dried corn husks. So it's wonderful for me. I see it as being green because you're recycling. You know,
that solid?
Pardon me?
Is that a solid sugar then?
It's a sugar, yeah, it's solid. What they do, this is the part of the sugar cane that it has not yet been crystallized. This is the top that you pick, and then you put that in molds. You put that in molds, and then you let it dry.
Yeah,
and
it would be
solid, like a big rock. I mean, you can hit somebody with that thing.
Like a loaf sugar.
Like a loaf of sugar, exactly. Exactly. And see here, we also have the alguaste. We have the ground pumpkin seeds here, which are very, very important in our diet. Red beans. Remember I was telling you about it. And we have another type of some other squash seeds, because alguaste is not just made with green seeds. It can also be made with another type of squash, but that's going to be another lesson. And white beans too. People don't think that we eat a lot of white beans, but we do. And in fact, I have in my cookbook a very authentic and delicious sopa de frijoles blancos with pig, we might call it, with ribs. And so just and lots of coffee. We produce a lot of coffee, which brings me back. Before coffee became very popular, we were also producing cotton too. So throughout the centuries, we've seen El Salvador, take on new crops depending on immigration. So cheese, yes, cheese are very, very important in our diet. And we have a wonderful variety of dairy products, from creams to cheese. And I think I was telling you when we were doing the test, I was lucky to live in Israel, in Kafarish Mariahu, for 2 years. And I remember going to the markets, either, on the West Bank, the Palestinian side or the Israeli side. And it was always the cheese and the yogurts that fascinated me. And we have a crema in El Salvador. It's called crema agria, which means sour cream. And Lebne reminds me a lot of the crema agria. And I can see there, the influence, the Arab influence in our cooking, because the Palestinian diaspora, 20% of the Palestinian diaspora lives in El Salvador. So, yes, so we have, in fact, our current president, I think his grandparents were born in Palestine. And breakfast, big meal in El Salvador is breakfast and lunch. And breakfast consists of scrambled eggs. These are called huevos picados. And picar means to chop, because when you're making them, you're not scrambling them in the American tradition. You're almost chopping, you're doing like a chopping motion with your fork or your spoon. And again, crema, very, very important. And cheese, some sort of crema or cheese. And in this case, we have casamiento, which is a mix of rice and beans. And it's something that probably, you had the rice from the night before. I'm sure that's how it came up. You have the rice left over, you have beans, and why not combine it? And we call it casamiento, and it's delicious because, you're getting your proteins, you're getting your grains, your carbs, your calcium. And normally in El Salvador, we eat breakfast with a little French roll, un pan francés, we call it. Or tortilla, if you want to, but traditionally it's bread. And the bakeries, people don't go to the bakeries. The bakery comes to you. And whether it's in the big city of San Salvador or the small little town, you will see the bicyclist with a big basket filled with all kinds of pastries. And he's bicycling and honking at the same time. And if you live in a wealthy neighborhood, the housekeeper usually comes out. If you live in the, in the countryside, or if you live in the poor neighborhood, you just come out and you buy from them. And it's just wonderful because the breads are fresh. And see, another type of, another breakfast, but it's always the cheese, always making its presence, and the beans. the nice thing too, and you know, Martin, I wrote Delicious El Salvador to rescue and preserve our culinary traditions. But I'm also very happy because you don't always have time to cook, and there are wonderful products out there in the Latin markets like Mercados Vallarta, Northgate, that carry ready-to-use beans. And they also import that cheese from El Salvador. One of my favorite companies is Amerisal. I really recommend their products. They're, you know, they're the authentic, the real deal. And in here we have tortillas. This is the type of dish that whether you're rich or you're poor, you eat tortillas. This is our staple every day. And we usually eat tortillas at lunchtime or at nighttime, but mainly at lunchtime. Look at how wonderful they look. And they're gluten-free, and they're made, so the process to make the masa, if you're not, you know, if you're making it fresh, you make it with cal. And I'm trying to think what is, it's a, and so when you mix, I'll look it up at the word in English, what cal means. So, but it's a process that has been used in Mexico all throughout Mesoamerica for thousands of years. And if you make it fresh, you know, you add cal, you add the corn, and you let it cook in water until it's nice and soft. And the next day, or the same day, you take the fresh corn to the molino, and you know. In the United States, it's hard to find molinos, so you can also use fresh, not fresh, but the flour masa. It comes grounded already, and you just add water, and you can make it at home. And there are several companies that sell them. I use Maseca, but one of my new companies that I love is Macienda. Their corn is organic, and now they're also selling fresh masa, and everything is organic. And here is the pupusa. Which is El Salvador's national dish. And there is, you know, every Salvadorian just loves their pupusas, but the pupusa revuelta is the most popular. And the revuelta in Spanish, revolver means to mix. And so the revuelta has 3 ingredients, has the cheese, which you can see a little bit here coming out. It has beans, and it has chicharrón salvadoreño, which is made from pork. Now, chicharrón salvadoreño is not like Mexican chicharrón. Mexican chicharrón, we call it chicharra, and we love it in El Salvador. We eat it, we sprinkle it on soups, but we don't use it for pupusas. We use the chicharrón, what we call chicharrón is more like Mexican carnitas. I use a pork shoulder, and I usually do 75% muscle to 25% fat. You need the fat because you're going to cook the meat after it's cooked. You're going to brown the meat in its own fat, and that's the fat that goes into the pupusa. That's why you never use oil for pupusas, because there is so much fat inside the refried beans, the cheese, so you don't need to do that. But people that don't know, you know, that's why some places, you know, you end up, and here I am drinking chuco, which is another beverage made from blue corn. And, but again, it's a wonderful recipe because it showcases too the influence of the Europeans in that, you know, we eat it with bread, with French bread. And let me get out of here. I want to show you the guacalito. Let's see if I can do this.
You just unshare your screen.
Oh, I just say, what do I say? Do I stop share? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. See it. So this is the guacalito, the morro, where I'm drinking the chuco, and these are the seeds, or the pods, I should say, from morro tree, which is a beautiful tree that grows in El Salvador and in Central America. And see how, this is how they look. This is how they would look.
Wow.
You gotta see these trees. They're so epic to see these big trees, and then this is what this thing's hanging. Inside are the morro seeds, And the morro seeds is what we use for our Salvadorian horchata. But we also, this is what we were, this was our China before the Spaniards arrived. We were either eating from things like this, from Guacalito, or we were eating from ceramic vessels. And this is also the fruit that maracas are made from. You know, the maracas. So it's, you know, just a wonderful thing to have. And let me go back to my share screen. Oh.
Let's see.
So I was, yeah, so like I was saying, so I was, this is another, atolles have been part of Mesoamerica for thousands of years. And atolles are traditionally made with corn, either white corn or blue corn or, you know, red corn. In El Salvador, we make it with this, we call it maíz negro. It's almost like a black color. And it's a wonderful beverage. And this, we used to eat this for breakfast before the Spaniards arrived. And before they brought the bread. And it's something that you never use a spoon, you always drink it, you know, straight from here. The nice thing about blue corn is that it has 20% protein, 20% more protein than white corn. And so when you were eating, and plus when you add, and so we also add the powder, the alguash, the pumpkin seeds, the ground pumpkin seeds. And then at the bottom, you put about 2 tablespoons of beans, cooked beans. So you're getting your iron from the beans, you're getting your carbs, you know, you're getting your protein and calcium. It's an amazing dish. And this is how you drink it.
So is that a savory or sweet dish? It's
savory.
Okay.
It's savory, yeah. You leave the corn, the kernels, the night before in water. Let them ferment. The next day, you never cook them. The next day, you grind it. You clean up. You get rid of the water, and then you grind the corns. And then from that masa, you make the chuco.
Delicious. Yeah.
So there is no nixtamalization, nothing. It's just straight corn. And then you add a paste, like you make like a paste like with the pumpkin seed powder. You add a little bit of water, and then you make like a paste, and then you do like a swirl, like swirl it, you know, around it, and then you put the beans and you put some hot sauce on top. And these are the only few times that we eat hot sauce. In El Salvador, we don't eat spicy food. Everything is very savory, and everything is usually seasoned with garlic and onion, being the 2 main, you know, seasoning vegetables. And here is another atoll too, and this is called Chilate. And these little things are made with yucca. And they are like donuts. They're like just succulent, so delicious. And you eat them with the panela. And what's nice is that you get the very savory nuegados. They're called nuegados de yuca, with the very sweet panela. And at the same time, you drink it. I call this the Salvadorian English tea, because this is something that we eat in the afternoon. We eat it between 3 and 5. Again, this is something that you don't make at home. It's something that you go and eat somewhere else. And it's fascinating because, again, this is also a fusion, you know, fusion authentic dish, we can call it, in that yucca is native to our land, but the cheese, because it has cheese and it has egg, it's from Europe, and then we deep fry them like a little donut. And they are so light and wonderful. And the chilate is fascinating because it has allspice and ginger. And I was talking yesterday to my new friend, Ricardo Castellon. He's a Salvadorian historian. Amazing. He knows so much about everything. I learned a lot from him. we were wondering, where did the ginger come from? And we were thinking that maybe it came through the Philippines, because in the 17th century, we were getting our black pepper straight from the Philippines. Starting in the 18th century, we started getting it from Mexico. But at the time, the black pepper would arrive in El Salvador and through the Philippines. So we were thinking that maybe that's how ginger made its way into the Chilate. It's fascinating. All spices native to Central America. So we know that our ancestors were, using allspice to season our food. And one of the fascinating things too that Dr. Castellón told me, the historian, he said that 1 pound, well, black pepper was always historically very, very expensive.
Yeah.
But in El Salvador, it was so expensive. It was the equivalent at the time, it was 16 pesos. And it took a farm worker, a farm worker would make a peso a week. So for a farm worker, if he wanted to buy a pound, he would need to work 16 weeks. That's how expensive black pepper was in El Salvador. And it's become, it's part of our repertoire in our cooking, in our everyday cooking. And then here we have plantains. Again, another dish that, it's very authentic Salvadorian, but the ingredients made it to El Salvador from the Spanish too. The banana and plantains are from Southeast Asia, and there's sugar too. So here we have, all these wonderful dishes that are now part of our traditions. And here is the yuca, because you can also eat the yuca, and here is the raw yuca. This is how it looks, which is different than the yucca tree. This is a root vegetable, and and the yucca tree, it's it produces the edible flowers, the flor de sote. Oh, sorry. One of the things too, I was telling you about the beans, the white beans. One of the wonderful things that we have in El Salvador are our soups. And in my book, out of 75 recipes, I have 12 soups. And I could write another book just on soups alone.
You should. You should.
I'm going to, because, oh my goodness, there are so many wonderful soups. And this is the I'll show you the book after I'm done with my my slides here. And this is a wonderful soup that again showcases, our native ingredients, our marriage between our native ingredients and the ingredients from Europe. The two main seasoning herbs are the bay leaves and thyme. But again, and the vegetables, carrots are always a must. Now, there are some regional places, some people add huisquil, which is chayote, which is also fine. And the marriage comes in when we're cooking with our beans, our white beans, and we're also adding the achote. The coloring, the achote is what gives it the beautiful coloring, that red color. And achote, it's native to the southern part of Mexico and Central America. And that is something that we use in El Salvador every day for our food, in fact, before the Spaniards, our ancestors, Lenca and Pipil, they were using it also for makeup, for lipstick. Oh yeah, when I grew up in El Salvador, I was not allowed to wear makeup until I was supposed to be 75. I grew up in a very strict household. So my friends and I, that was the only way that I could get lipstick, get some color on my lips. I would just put a little bit of red achote on my lips with cacao butter, with chocolate butter. And in El Salvador, when I grew up in the 70s, if you had dried lips, we didn't use the chopstick, we used the cacao butter. And they still sell it in little things. So anyway, so this is one of, I'm on a tangent now. My husband told me, stay focused, no tangent. He said, just start talking. So let me show you. And again, another wonderful soup. This is just a soup that I bought, that I got at the Lago de Coatepeque when I was there. It was so tasty because what makes Salvadorian chicken or hen soup are the herbs. And there is no, I swear, Martin, I did so much research on this, and I came to the conclusion that we are the only ones in Latin America using the 4 herbs. And you go to the mercado and you see the people buying them, I mean, selling them in a bunch, all 4 of them. So to have a real authentic chicken or hen soup, you need to have cilantro, basil, parsley. I mean, sorry, no, not parsley, mint and celery. So we have basil, mint, cilantro. What was the other one that I said?
Celery.
And celery. Yeah, you can see it right there. Yeah. And that's what makes Salvadorian soup unique. And of course, you know, you add the garlic, the onion. Some people add tomato. Here is another wonderful soup. This is sopa de res. And our soups are a meal on their own. And they're normally eaten, like I said, at lunchtime. That's our main meal. And you usually eat this with, you know, with a tortilla, 1 or 2 tortillas. And it's really a rich, wonderful soup. And the herbs are basically the same, like for the soup, except that you don't add the basil. And you do add the parsley. But basically the mint is there, the cilantro and celery and parsley for meat soups like this. And this is another dish too that you find at the mercado, something that you don't make at home. And it's called Leche Poliada. And poliar in Spanish means to mix, because you're gonna keep mixing, and you know what it is? It's nothing more than a pudding, than a what do you call it? The pudding made with tapioca pudding.
Tapioca, yeah.
It's made, tapioca, I don't know if you know tapioca, it's flour made from yuca, the root vegetable, yeah. But this is made with cornstarch. But other than that, it's the same process. And they usually serve it like this at the mercado. And again, it's another wonderful way to be green, because you take the corn husk, dried corn husk, you wet them. You can put whatever you have, if you have an egg or a tomato or a small potato in the middle, and you tie the ends. Make sure it's nice and wet because it needs to be pliable. And whatever object you're gonna put in the middle there, then afterwards, you let it dry in the sun, remove whatever you put in the middle, and you have your little corn husk dish. And look at how beautiful this is. And it's nice because you can also use it for salsa, or if you're having a party, and you know, so many things that you can use. Another big thing in El Salvador are desserts. And you know, we have incredible desserts. Again, thanks to our native ingredients and the ingredients that the Europeans brought. And this is called Semita De Pina. And this is like a Italian crostata. And it has the pineapple. There is a huge Italian community in El Salvador. And in fact, I have a lot of my friends, you know, their great grandparents came from many parts of Italy. And one of the things too, that this is kind of getting lost to in El Salvador, is the technique and the execution too of the pastry, because it's not supposed to have yeast. But some people, because again, you know, we really don't have many cookbooks out there, written cookbooks. In El Salvador, you're still learning from your, you know, from your mom or your grandmother, or at a visual level or at the oral level. You're just observing. You're learning by observing, and you're learning by, you know, your mom or grandmother or aunt teaching you. So, but we don't have a lot of cookbooks. So this is one of the recipes that is going to be in my next cookbook. And I did a lot of research, and I'm very, very proud because it tastes the way it's supposed to taste. It's Semita De Pina, you know, this type of pastry is not supposed to have yeast. It's just supposed to have double acting baking powder, and that's it. So those are things. So my guess is that this came from the crostata. The Italians brought their crostata to El Salvador, but in El Salvador, we don't have strawberries. Strawberries don't grow in El Salvador because of the heat. It's too hot for them. But we do have lots of pineapples, and pineapple are native to the American continent. And so you make the pineapple jam, and then you fill it. And one of the things that it still carries are the see the little, like the basket weaving on top.
Yes.
So that's still, you still see a bit of the vestiges from the Italian crostata, but you know, in its own way now, in its own unique way, which is its own Salvadorian way.
What is that? What are those lines on the top of that? Is that like a frosting, or is that just the actual?
No, just the lines are just made with the same pastry.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Again, you know, when you look at the crostata is open. It's more like a lattice open. Okay. But again, here you just see, you know, like a reminder. But it I mean, food evolves. You know, yeah. One of the things too that I have in my cookbook is the recipe for frescos. In Mexico, they're called Aguas Frescas, which is beverages that you make with sugar, with fruit and water, and you serve it with ice. And tamarindo is one of those two, one of those very, very popular and authentic beverage in El Salvador, in spite that the tamarindo is not native to the American continent. It comes from India.
The tamarind comes from India.
Yeah, and it's made its way in El Salvador. I have the recipe in my cookbook, like I said, for the fresco de tamarindo, and we also use the tamarind paste, the tamarindo paste for candies. Mm-hmm. They're very, very popular, especially, that's one of the things too that I was talking to my friend, Dr. Ricardo Castellon, the historian, about candies, because they're fruit candies are huge in El Salvador. And especially around Christmas time or during the local town parties. And and I was wondering, you know, we were trying to get to the bottom, when did the candies arrive? And again, is the Arab influence too, because a lot of the candies that they use in the Middle East, they're very similar to our candies. In fact, my husband is half Syrian and half Irish. And from the Syrian side, I got this old book, cooking book, and it has a lot of the same recipes, the same dishes that we see in El Salvador, fruit candies, is there in the book. Oh yes, that was for the this is what you put for the yuca. This photo just slipped in here, but you put double acting baking powder, cheese, and an egg when you make the yuca donuts. Here is another recipe from my cookbook, Fresco de Pina. Very, very important. And because, you know, it's so hot all the time, Martin, it's hot and humid. So this refreshing beverages, you know, they're important to, you know, to keep you cool and refreshed. Another thing, like I was mentioning before, are desserts. And this is called Relampago. And Relampago is nothing more than a Salvadorian eclair. It's the same pâte choux when you're making your eclair. The difference is that when you go to France, you don't find eclairs with the caramel topping here. So what I used to do when I lived in Washington, D.C., I used to go to this French bakery, and I used to buy my eclairs, and then I would buy the creme brulee, and I would just take the sugary top of the creme brulee and put it on my so I would pretend I was eating a relampago. But again, you know, this is the influence of the European influence, and it's such a wonderful dessert because you fill it with the leche poliada, the the custard, the vanilla custard that I showed you inside the corn husk.
Yeah, that's so it's a custard. It's not. It's a corn husk. Is it made out of corn? The actual pudding or the
Yes, exactly. So the pudding, the filling is actually made with corn.
Okay, but corn it's pudding. It's more like a custard.
It's like a custard, yeah. I call it in English vanilla custard.
Okay.
And then you make a caramel. You know, it's a lesson in patience when you're making caramel, because you want to make sure that it's not going to burn. It burns fast. Once it starts smoking, that's it. So, but it's such a wonderful dish, and I cannot wait to share the recipe in the next cookbook. This is another thing that we eat in El Salvador they're called Rigwas. And we take fresh corn and we mix it with eggs, the same thing like I had in the other photo, with eggs, cheese. No eggs on here, just cheese. And then we mix it, put a little bit of sugar in there too, and then we mix it, and then we cook it in between 2 banana leaves. And when it's cooked, you pull it out and then you brown it. The good thing though is that nowadays in the United States, you can just go to your local market and find them already made. My friends from Amerisal, they make them. They bring them from El Salvador, filled with red beans. They are so delicious.
So do you eat the banana leaves, or
no? You don't eat the banana leaves. No,
in there. Yeah,
the banana leaves is just serving, just to just to hold the mix together.
Yeah.
And in fact, once they get hard, then you remove them from the banana leaf, and then you brown them. You finish up on the pan. You brown them.
Okay.
But no, so banana leaves are also fascinating because we make tamales, and with bananas it's like the country's identity.
Yeah. Whatever I
but
make.
It's not native to El Salvador either. Again, they were brought over by the Spaniards.
Yeah. I usually wrap cochinita pibil in banana leaves when I'm steaming it. So it's
for fish too. My grandmother used to make it like that. She used to just cook fish with banana leaves.
Yeah.
And then she used to use like a steamer. Fascinating ways of cooking. And these are the ingredients. Remember, I was showing you. This is the corn that we use for the shuko, the blue. It's like a red bluish corn.
The blue corn.
And these are the pumpkin seeds here, the green pumpkin seeds. This is how they look. And I wanted to show you this photo, just this exotic bird nest. I forgot the name of the bird, but these are very popular in El Salvador. And I once stayed in this little hotel outside San Salvador, and I saw the bird actually building the nest.
That's fascinating. It looks like macrame.
It is huge too. This thing is like 3 feet long. Wow. The photo doesn't do justice to see the craftsmanship that that is required. And birds are beautiful. They are big in El Salvador. And this is coffee when coffee is in full bloom. Look at how beautiful the white flowers.
Wow.
And then from here, they turn green, then they turn red. And beautiful. And I'm back here to my hometown, Santa Ana.
Excellent. So that's so fascinating. So fascinating. Thank you for sharing all of that with us. I think we do have a few questions now. And if anybody does have any other questions, go ahead and type them into the Q&A section. And we'll start asking. Let me start asking you a few things. Well, actually, one person said, Bruce says, great presentation and love the travelogue as well. But also, do you know if there are any Salvadoran restaurants in San Diego, Orange, or Riverside counties? Restaurants.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, if you guys have any more questions, you can also write me at alicia@deliciouselsalvador.com. Because I know a friend of mine, her sister owns a restaurant in the northern part of San Diego. And I have heard just the best reviews about the place. So yes, there are so many wonderful places that I live in Los Angeles, so I can recommend places in Los Angeles. I'm right here today. I'm here in the desert in Palm Springs, and there is there are a couple of wonderful restaurants too. In fact, I shared on my Instagram account about 2 weeks ago a post about the Salvadorian restaurant here in Palm Springs, and it was delicious, Martin. It was so good. The pupusas were well made, because I am the most critical person when it comes to pupusas. They have to meet my high standards, because it's a very beautiful dish that deserves to be executed accordingly. And there are so many wonderful places. So here's my post. In here was called the restaurant in Palm Springs is called Fernanda's Food. Fernanda's Food. I don't know if you can see me. I'm eating pupusas in there, see?
There you go. See? All right. And then I remember, I think I did a search on Google, and there were 3 or 4 restaurants in San Diego that just came up as Salvadoran restaurants, but for the life of me, I didn't write them down.
Well, we Salvadorians, we came here in mass. It was, one of those historical immigration movements. It was almost 1 million people in less than 10 years. Mm-hmm. And like I said, we left without our extended family. It was hard. Yeah, I came here, because of UCLA, but I still miss the family. When I got married, I didn't have anybody at my wedding except, just my sister, but not the big extended family, and not having, someone to guide you with the food, to teach you about traditions, because, comes Christmas time, in El Salvador, the Christmas turkey is huge. And I dare to say that is one of the most delicious dishes in the world. And that's why it was important for me to, rescue and preserve El Salvador's cooking traditions. Here is the Christmas turkey for the next generations. Mm-hmm. I spent 2 months in El Salvador doing the photography production. I did all the food styling. Mm-hmm. I left LA with 2 bags filled with props. I took a lot of things from my house. Then in El Salvador, some of my friends loaned me stuff. My friend was working for the newspaper, one of the girls in the photo, she was working for the food magazine. She helped me get dishes from department stores. It's a big deal to do a book. You're doing 75 recipes, and but it was also fascinating because every photo has a story to tell. And I stayed in a little 2-bedroom apartment. It was wonderful. It was not planned originally. All the plans that I had went out the window. I was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. I ended up staying for 2 months. My poor husband, oh my God. Thank God, lets me run amok. But I worked.
I like to say you can't rush perfection.
But I worked 16 hours a day. Yeah. Was doing photography production. Every dish was cooked by me in a small electrical stove, and so I don't know if you can see the tray where the turkey is. The tray, I had no more dishes at that point. I was like, my God, where am I going to put the turkey? And so I ended up going in the apartment because the apartment was furnished and just borrowing, stuff from the apartment. But my friend loaned me the tray. And the tray was, bless you, the tray was from Maria Castellanos. And Maria Castellanos was from Sweden. Sweden, yes. She was the wife of Jose Castellanos, who was a diplomat in Budapest in 1942. And now he's one of his name is on the Wall of the Righteous at the Yad Vashem Museum in Israel. And I don't know if the Yad Vashem Museum is the museum for the Holocaust. And Jose Castellanos, he rescued, because Hitler, he was, killing everyone. And he gave, him and his friend, another diplomat, they gave over 50,000, they say, between 30 to 50,000 Salvadorian birth certificates. So they could leave the country with fake birth certificates. So it's fascinating. So then, so I'm friends with his family. And so when I needed a tray for my Christmas turkey, I called up my friend and I said, please, I need help. And she has beautiful dishes. And she said, you know, she said, I'm going to lend you the one that we always used to use for Christmas when my mom was alive.
Very nice.
And so every recipe has a story. I also wanted to showcase everyday eating, like tortitas de carne. You gotta make this dish. It's made with ground beef, and it's basically a Salvadorian meatball. Yeah, they are so good. So you put egg, you put flour or rice, because rice is also good, but it's also an economical dish too, because, you know, ground beef is one of the least expensive cuts, but yet full of nutrition. And this is how we eat every day. We'll take the ground beef, we're going to put chopped tomato, chopped green bell pepper, chopped onion, egg. If you have flour, or if you don't, you can also use the rice from the night before. What we want is something to hold it, you know, and then you brown it like a beef patty, not like a meatball. It has to be more like a patty. And then you serve them with a sauce. It's almost like a gravy. At the very end, when you're done frying everything, you throw in a little bit of flour, more chopped onion, and you make a roux. And then you put a little bit of water, and you have your beautiful gravy, and put tomatoes. And
that sounds great.
I'm making you hungry.
I have a question here from Linda. Can you give us the title again of your cookbook, and also where you can get it?
Well, in English is called Delicious El Salvador, and I don't know if you can see it. It's in the background here, and let me get up and get it.
And you have a Spanish version as well.
Yeah, and I have this is the English edition. However, because I'm also the publisher, I couldn't find anyone that wanted to publish the book. They told me, this is 10 years ago, they told me, oh, you know, the Salvadorian market is too small. And you know what, they're right. It has not been easy, but I would do it all over again. However, I'm very happy to announce I sold out the first edition. I sold out the second edition completely. And now I'm printing the third edition. And I was just awarded, like you mentioned at the beginning, the Gourmand for best first cookbook of the world in the last 25 years. Mm-hmm. But then I did the Spanish edition. So this is the same recipes, except this is in Spanish. And this took me another 4 years. I'm very proud to say that I was one of the 8 finalists for translation for the Gourmand Awards. And I was actually one of the 8, 2 of the 8 finalists was Ken Albala. He's an amazing food historian, author. And also with our friend from the Culinary Historians of Southern California, the president, with his cookbook. So yes, so right now, Delicious El Salvador is not available, but it will be available. I was hoping it was going to be available at the end of this month, but it took me a while to find the printer. I was going back and forth, you know, with several printers from China, because I was printing the 2 first editions. I printed them in Missouri, but it's too expensive. And so I said, I'm just going to take a look into China printing. And I was going back and forth. And I finally found the company, and I'm very happy. And so now, hopefully, either by the end of December, you know, I'm just letting the universe go, because I was really stressed out and embarrassed too a little bit, because, you know, people keep writing me all the time, we want to buy your book, and but it will be available. Well, those are learning experiences as a publisher. I'm learning, Martin.
It's a learning experience, let me tell you. I went through the same thing when I did my book too, which was self-published. So it took a while, but you know, it's very rewarding once you get those.
I had no idea. If anybody's writing a book and you guys need help, you know, email me, because I can save you money. You spend so much. I spent so much money on things that I didn't need to, but that's okay, you know, because it's a learning experience. But the Spanish edition, it's all the same recipes. Oh,
and it's still available.
By accident. This is sopa de chorizo. This is the soup that you drink after too many drinks the night before.
It's a good hangover cure.
A hangover soup. Every country has a hangover soup.
I have another question here.
Okay.
Since your book is not available right now yet, I have a question here from Jesse Alvarez. Do you have a recipe for the ground up pumpkin seeds for the mangoes? How do you, maybe you could just quickly.
Oh no, there's nothing to it. You'd lightly roast the pumpkin seeds, because that helps release the oils but not burn, because otherwise they're going to turn bitter. Any herb or spices, just lightly roast them, and then you just put them in your grinder. And what I use my coffee grinder. Nowadays people also sell the spice grinder, but I've been using the coffee grinder for the last 30 years. And it works perfectly. The same thing for my Salvadorian turkey. And by the way, I'm also, my online classes are coming up very soon, so I'm very excited. Yeah, no, alguaste is a wonderful ingredient, and I have a recipe too in my cookbook for chicken in alguaste.
One more question here. They're talking about the corn husk dish, which was the Leche Poriala.
Leche Poriala, yeah.
Is it like polenta, perhaps? But I think we talked about it. It's more pudding-like, isn't it?
It's a pudding-like. What it is that you mix, just briefly for the recipe. I can, you know, if you guys want the recipe, I'm more than happy to share it. Very simple. In a big pot or medium-sized pot, you mix 4 tablespoons of cornstarch with 3/4 cup of sugar, white granulated sugar. You mix it together before you even put it on the stove. You add 3 cups of whole milk, cold whole milk, and you mix it again. At that point, you put it on the stove and start cooking it. And in the meantime, you break 2 eggs, save the egg yolks, and mix the egg yolks really well, and you add them to the mix. Mix really well. You can either add them at the beginning or add them at the end. Some people like to add it at the beginning because that way the egg yolk doesn't curdle, you know, it's still cold. And that's it. And then you just mix it. And you keep mixing it over medium heat, not too hot, or it's going to cook too fast. So you mix your cornstarch, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, 3/4 cup of white sugar, 3 cups of milk, 2 egg yolks, and you keep stirring until it gets nice and thick and it starts bubbling. When it starts bubbling, you throw in there a tablespoon or whatever. I like to add a lot of vanilla, or a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And that's it. And you're ready to serve. Before you serve it, you sprinkle cinnamon on top.
Yeah, yum.
It's so simple. And it's wonderful because it's not, I also use it. My kids also love it with blueberries or strawberries on top. And it's also a wonderful filling. If you're making a cake, it's an amazing filling too. So it's a very versatile dish.
Oh, excellent. That sounds delicious. I have another question here from Roxanne. Hello from Boston. I love your cookbook. Is there an online vendor you recommend for Salvadoran ingredients?
You know what? Yes, my friends from Amerisal. Ameri, A-M. Let me spell it. Amerisal. Let me spell it. Let me write it down here. I don't know if it's gonna come. Their website, it's their commerce website. It's about to take off. So they already have a website, but they're going to start selling online. This is called can see it. Or is it
coming the
other way?
Okay.
So yes, AMERISAL. It's the two, like America and Sal, Amerisal.
Okay. Yeah, and that's the company that makes it.
That's the company that they sell just heat and serve authentic Salvadorian products, and they're also going to start selling other things too online.
Excellent.
And I know the family, it's just a wonderful mother and daughter, you know, company. It's just a company with passion.
Excellent. Here's one other question. How different are the foods in neighboring countries from El Salvador?
Well, that's a good question. Completely different.
Because most of them have, do they all use spicy?
We do, but for instance, in Honduras, in Nicaragua, especially along the Atlantic, they use coconut. They use a lot of coconut water, very similar to Thai food in that sense. Mm-hmm. So there is so yes, there is a big difference. And also the influence of Afro roots are much more in countries like Honduras and Nicaragua, because when the African slaves, they were fleeing the United States and the Caribbean, they ended up in Central America. Mm-hmm. So yes, there is a big difference. There is a big difference. But what unites us, I think, is that we, especially in the inland part of Honduras and Nicaragua, not the coast, but what unites us is actually, you know, again, the tomato, the trinity, I call it the tomato, the green bell pepper, and the onion. And that's the trinity of any basic sofrito in El Salvador. I forgot to show you on my introduction the flag of El Salvador. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Very nice.
Yeah. And so, you know, and our Independence Day is September 15th. And we became independent in 1821 from Spain. So there you go. And yeah, so like I was telling you too, the torogos is El Salvador's national bird. And I'm very proud to say that, you know, I'm just beginning with my merchandise. You can find
you have merchandise. I think you're selling that from your website. Is that...
Right now, I don't have it on my website. I have it on Etsy, and after I'm done with you guys, I need to work on my website.
Right.
I just want to showcase. Look at how beautiful this is, a tote bag. And I just wanted to showcase the beauty of El Salvador, our flora, you know, our fauna, and oh, it's such a beautiful country. And I'm so glad that people like you know, are giving me an opportunity to talk about Salvadorian food and our culture. Because for so many years, when you would Google El Salvador, it was always El Salvador Civil War. Yes. So now it's nice, you know, or gangs. And so it's nice to showcase. That's why I get so excited when I see those young chefs in El Salvador. They, you know, because not everything is negative, and, you know, problems exist everywhere. But I'm very proud to be Salvadorian and our contribution in the United States. And I see it in my own sons, you know, model citizens.
Thank you for putting so much effort into it and spreading the word about Salvadoran culinary history and traditions. In fact, I have a question that dovetails right into that from Sandra. She says, great talk. Can you do you have any websites or resources where we can also do more research about Salvadorian culinary history? Are there any other sources, perhaps?
Oh, there is a whole movement out there. You can go to my website, deliciouselssalvador.com. Mm-hmm. I built it, I manage it, so still needs work, but you know, I'm happy with the website. You also, if you speak Spanish, you should visit the Salvadorian Historical Academy, La Academia Nacional de la Historia Salvadoreña is called in Spanish. They're also on Facebook. There are a couple of Salvadorian ladies who are pushing it too. One of them is Carla Vasquez from Salvisol. You can visit her website. And the other one, it's, what's her name? She just did, it's called Herencia, cooking book, Herencia with an H. And it's a Mexican Salvadorian cookbook. So there are a lot of places, and you can also visit UNESCO website to learn more about Joya de Seren. They have a whole section on Joya de Seren and in English. So there are a lot of other places that that you can visit. Even the website for the El Salvador government too.
Well, thank you for that. And then last question here from Sandra. Any resources for finding good quality organic Salvadoran ingredients?
Well, my friends from Melissa's, because so many of the produce that we consume in El Salvador, you find them here, or they import them. So my source to go, I always go to melissasproduce.com.
Okay, so if you're looking for organic produce.
If you're looking for organic, yes. Yeah, they sell, everything they sell is wonderful, and I'm proud to say that they're also my sponsor.
Oh, very nice. All right, well, I think that does it. Now, let's see, we talked about your website, deliciouselsalvador.com. Also, this is being recorded, so we're going to be putting that up on our YouTube channel. So we do have the Culinary Historians of San Diego has a channel on YouTube. There's only one other video on it so far, but you'll be the second video. We also have our new website coming out in the next couple of weeks, so be looking for that. And if you do have any other questions, I think Alicia said you could email her at, what was your email address that you were saying?
It's Alicia, ALICIA, at deliciousElSalvador.com. And you can go to my website, and I have a little feature in there to subscribe. I do a newsletter every 3 months, just to inform. I haven't done one yet the last trimester, but I've been so busy.
Soon there will be.
Yes.
Yeah. And I want to thank you again for taking the time to talk with us. It's just been a fascinating talk.
Oh, thank you, Martin, for the invitation, and thank you.
Now I'm going to make some horchata de morro.
Oh, the horchata, Salvadorian horchata is so delicious. It's very rich, though.
I started grinding up.
So do you use a coffee grinder too to grind? Yes, me too.
Tiny little batches, but yeah, we'll see how it turns out. All right. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone. And we'll see you next month for the next talk. And if you're interested in these kinds of things, think about supporting the libraries through Culinary Historians of San Diego's website and membership as well. And thank you, Alicia, again.
And one more quickly. Delicious El Salvador, it's available at the Grand Central Library in LA, if anybody wants to borrow it and cook. And also at the Azusa Library and the Bridgeport Library in Connecticut. And there are other places too in San Francisco. There are several public libraries that have bought the book. And so but the main thing is that it's in LA and they can borrow it.
All right. And the next third edition is coming out as soon as.
And I'm also writing the second one, so I'm going to be doing the third edition of Delicious, and I'm also writing the second cookbook.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for
Adios. Saludos.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.